Hey, good morning. Early one today. Good morning, good morning. What is this? Okay. So as we said, Powell spiking this morning at 10 o'clock. I'm actually going to try to be done before that. So we'll try to use the 8:30 opening. It'll probably be a smaller range, but I'm just going to really aim for like 5 handles and call it. So it might be a shorter stream today. Okay, so ideally, honestly, if we can like hit midnight reverse, I'd like to try to get long. That'd be my ideal scenario. Okay, so that's the opening. We ended up clearing that liquidity, that's fine. As I said, I would favor a long. We'll see what kind of setup we get here. Let's see. Okay. So we had medium impact here. We'll have medium impact at 8 o'clock again, but I like this 8:30 level. I'm going to try to utilize that. We've actually came down and cleared the sell side already. We'll see if we can't leave some type of discount here. I am looking at this little bearish fair value gap. So I'm kind of thinking if we can invert that, I might just go in right away. As I said, it's going to be very quick, very short. We're inside of a daily fair value gap here. So that's kind of what we're noticing, right? We trade up and through, we come back down into it, and now we're just consolidating within that area. I'd like to see, now that we've cleared that short-term low, yeah, pretty much if we can invert. Good morning. Yeah, I'll try to go long here off the inversion. If we end up falling through, this is a 5 minute end of 15, I want to say, not just a 5. So 5 minute fair value gap here. We have some buy side as well. I'm kind of looking at that. Right, an old swing point. So as we clear that, we break through that with a fair value gap displacement. We would expect this fair value gap to hold us. Now that we've cleared the short-term low, I'd want to see pretty much, as we said, that 1 minute here be inverted, get a back above the 8:30 opening, and then more than likely we'll try to use that. So at this point, we pretty much just want to see the 5 minute hold us. We can maybe come back into consequent encroachment, but we'd want to see this wick hold price. And then from there, get back above, as we said, the bearish fair value gap that is paired with our 8:30 opening. And then I'd probably just aim for, if we use 8:30, five handles probably. I'd like the high of the daily. Let's see, so we close above here. Curious to see what that does right there, that 8:30. We create the failure swing lower. To be honest, I don't want to see that wick, so we're going to use 8:30 as we said. Stop loss on one of the original liquidity, and for me, I'm just going to aim for these highs, which will be the high of the daily. So I'm just using the 8:30 level itself as the entry. What you often see is that, right, 8:30 will be used as kind of a dynamic support and resistance level in price. So if my expectation is that we use 8:30 as a area of support after clearing this sell side already, we should see it be able to accelerate. And now I'd like to just really target 5 handles if we can. So we'd need to get above this swing point here, push up into the bearish fair value gap, and as we said, midpoint is going to be an issue, so I'm going to be kind of quick to try to move stop if we trade into that daily fair value gap's midpoint and have some type of resistance. Already not looking too hot. We wouldn't want to see, we don't want to see this be a wick. All right, so we don't want to just kind of wick this, because then we could return and just continue to consolidate. I'd prefer that this candlestick close above this swing point, which would allow us to run up into kind of where we're wanting to get out here. For me, as we said, stop is below this original swing point, below 5 minutes consequent encroachment. And I'd pretty much just like to see that continued push now at this point. And as I say, this will probably be it for me today. With Powell talking, I'm very quick to get my money and bounce. So if we can get TP, as I said, just an easy 5 handles, we're going to call it there. And not need to push for much more. At this point, this swing low is what I want to hold, so I'm fine with stop. As we said, I would rather see this close, so I'm waiting to see if we can get a candlestick to close above. We don't want to just wick this area, because now we're going to have a volume imbalance, and we're going to have the just a daily fair value gap to kind of get through. So notice how the daily fair value gap's consequent encroachment is the midpoint of that volume imbalance. To me, that's going to be a pretty significant area if price can reach into it. So I don't want to get stuck there. I'd like to see us try to get above that. Pretty much just close in this whole bearish fair value gap here. If we can't, we might roll over and get stopped out, but for now we're in, so we'll wait and see. I'd really want to see this fair value gap hold us. If we get back under that, retest 830, it might get a little bit choppy. Yeah, so not a fan of that, right? No wick. If we can hold here, get above, we'd still want to see that be closed. Because right now, this is simply a short-term high being cleared. That's liquidity being picked up. So if it wants to fall back down into 830, we'll disregard this. For the time being, I want to see this hold, though. Hold here. Test the volume imbalance. Eventually, we'd have to get through that, but first we need to get above this. If we test this original liquidity and break underneath, ooh, just like that. Okay, so not too much. Don't like seeing that. We'll see if we get a full retracement into this. We can really test 830 more than once, which is why a stop can't really be moved at this point, because 830 can be used multiple times. So I don't mind that. I'd want to see pretty much a quick rejection from here to hold the actual fair value gap. I don't want us to close below. We have. Ooh, we did not. Okay, so we closed on the low, but we opened with the bearish volume imbalance. So what I'm watching is I don't want to see that be closed in. I don't want to see this remain open, because if the volume imbalance stays open, that means that we're going to now reject from this potential inversion. It's midpoint, trade lower. Right, so I'm really watching the midpoint of this now. If we're going to close outside of it, I'd want to see this pretty much make an attempt to get right back above, negating that previous candle's action, and make another pass for the high in this buy side, right? We don't want to keep getting stuck here, because it's also this fair value gap. So we see why we're getting stuck. I want to get above that. Brackets are, yeah, I always love the limit orders. Making another attempt with the body. So as we said, if we're going to do this, try to open outside and then revert. I don't want to make another attempt to try to close below. I'd want to see price get above it. Right now, though, it's getting stuck at the high. Need to clear and close above the buy side. If we can do that, we should be all right. As long as we're below that, I'm not liking it. So I like that delivery. Okay, we've hit the low of it. We held. I need to see us get above, though. If we keep playing inside of this, as I said, we'll probably just consolidate, or it's going to have a quick fall through to retest 830. We'd need to see pretty much an immediate leaving of this fair value gap to run this high. And then, as we said, we'll probably test this volume balance. To me, this is going to be the real line in the sand here, because it's the daily fair value gap consequent encroachment as well. Once again, hard rejection. So yeah, struggling to get above the buy side. Not a fan of that. 830 opening tends to be a little bit more methodical, though, which is why we kind of just have to let it play out. wants to attack this low, attack our stop loss. Just gotta let it happen. But I like where we are. Right, as we said, 8:30 runs out pretty much all that sell side that we had been engineering beforehand. It respects the 5-minute. Body not really getting near it. We are inside a 5-minute here, which is causing us the issue. But I pretty much want to see that get traded through. So we're trying to use the low of the daily fair value gap to get up into its upper level. Right, that's the understanding behind it. Using simply kind of 1 minute. Right, because paired with the 8:30, as we said, we had that inversion as well. So I'd want that to hold us. At the time being, this fair value gap or this buy side is really the issue. So we'll see if 8:30, if we're going to keep protesting that, can hold us. If we close below 8:30, to me, we'll probably make another pass at the 5-minute. And from there, we'll have to see what happens with our stop. Yeah, don't do it too much, but usually if it's, as I say, right, some type of high impact news, or in this case, Powell, which we still count as high impact. If there's some type of that in the morning, I'm trying to avoid. Pre-morning's pretty good. Pre-opening bell. Especially if 8:30 wants to hold, right? 8:30 will be a pretty good level. Long or short, depending on the narrative. So we're trying to catch a nice long here. Facts. Can't help with that though. My man loves to tweet. That's always a danger. So still, right, we need to get above this swing point. Not really too thrown out by this, because we could easily just retrace, keep staying in this small range. So these fake little movement higher. Nice to see and all, but doesn't really matter unless we close above the buy side. So once again, this level here, we need to close above that. We've just tested it again. If we wick that one more time, it's going to not be looking too hot, because now we'll have 3 failure swings, right? The original high, another pass, can't, one more pass, can't. So usually if we see something like that, price will tend to fall and clear out the equal lows that it's created after creating the failure swing. Yep, okay. So as we said, right, another failure swing, can't get above it. NQ did run this high, slight SMT. We'll see if we can catch up. But if we fall from here, not looking too hot. Early, man. I forget what it'd be like to get up early. Work looks like it's frozen. That's funny. Classic 830. Testing it again. Let's see. Oof. Rejection again. Not good. Closure above. We need to see that. But once again, just wicking. Really struggling to expand here. I don't really like this because even if we get outside, this volume imbalance here in my mind is going to be an issue. A big issue. Right, that's that consequent encroachment of the daily. So far that's nice. So if we can get above that, we should be okay. But right, look at that. The way price just hesitates, stops right in its tracks there. To be honest, because of that, I'm fine cutting risk, as we said. Early morning, trying to be done, not really having unnecessary risks. So for me, this swing low should hold. We shouldn't even really come back outside. Like I wouldn't want to see us fall outside of this daily fair value gap. So if you wanted to be extremely tight, you could even go here. Candle that we entered on, this candle. Use its low as the stop loss. And pretty much just look for the continued delivery higher at this point. As we said, we trade perfectly into the daily volume imbalance, or excuse me, the 1 minute volume imbalance that is anchored with the daily consequent encroachment. So now that we've closed above this buy side, I would really look at this whole wick and say, I don't want to see less than that. Right, this range should be balanced. So if we're going to come back down, I just want to test that and run, because this is where price will reject from if it can't get above. So we'll see, right? We test it. Let's see what we get from there. As expected, this becomes really our stopping point. A key level, right? A daily volume or a daily fair value gap and a true liquidity void right here like that. Very easy to spot, and we understand why price would try to reject from there. Yeah, if we can get above, I would expect continued, like, if we can leave the daily, right? But I think this is where we hold, yeah. Geez, so straight back down into the range, not looking too good. We'll probably fall back. I'm gonna keep the stop actually here, right where it was. I just wanted to show where you could, but I'm thinking in this type of delivery, price can retest 830 again even and make another pass at that. So we'll see if that can be allowed to happen. If not, if we fall below 830 and close below, we'll probably just come back for this low and be stopped out. Right, and it's this low here, this original liquidity. So yeah, closure below that, I'm looking for a stop out. After hitting midpoint, right, this is where price will be trying to get into. Perfect rejection. Unfortunately, just not really enough. Like we could have closed, but right, it's only 3 handles, small range. So that's why I'm not too worried about taking a stop. We're very zoomed in on the chart, but in reality, it's a pretty small range that we're in right now. Closure below. Okay, so yeah, I would expect at this point to come for this low. Unless this very next candle can get above, but more than likely this candle is going to test the 830. It's going to test this wick and it's going to reject from this area now. So I would expect 830 to act as resistance to actually send us into our stop loss. Right, because that's that hard. Oh. No upwards wick, so we open with a bullish volume imbalance if we see that, and then immediately the very next 2 candles, look at that, the wick list to the top side. So very heavy, very bearish delivery. Displacing below 830, 830 becomes resistance. 5 minute would have to hold. We'll see. Because we also closed below this volume imbalance. So we pretty much disregarded every discount on that one price leg, which is why I would expect price to run into our stop at this point. Disregard it. Yeah, okay. That's fine. So we end up holding, right? As we said, that's going to be the area of resistance. Very obvious. Short-term high cleared, displacement, daily fair value gap, liquidity void. We trade up into it, we get stuck, immediate rejection. Just back down into the 5. We'll see if we can retest. I want to see if we hold midpoint of this 5. And then maybe we'll give it one last chance because we're going to have a bearish fair value gap here. We hold the 5 minute, leave the daily. Good morning. Yeah, if that's the case, we have to close the... Easier to see that way. I'd watch here, honestly. I may want to hold that. Should we take the small stop? Pretty much cutting our risk though. The original stop was below midpoint here. We're able to move it up halfway. So once again, just managing the risk. Took the stop. Respect like button. Could be, yeah, if you're trading CFDs, it's going to be different. Like if you're looking like SPX or whatever it is. This is the actual futures chart. All right, it's just small daily fair value gap right here. We've come into it once, come into it twice, third pass. So at this time I was hoping that we could actually stay bullish through it, but it looks like we may use it bearish again. So I'm almost expecting this to hold as a short to maybe get us into the low of the 5. No way I didn't get the entry. Wow. I had a limit set there. It's midpoint, but we didn't get up into it. Should just use 830. We'll see if we break from here. We're gonna reverse this and just use the high. I was gonna use consequent encroachment instead of use 830. So I'll see if that volume bound stays open. My expectation would be that it wants to use that to run lower. Maybe use the 5 minute high as its area of resistance. But it should maybe be able to, let's see, on the 2 minute. Yeah, one more test wouldn't be a bad idea. And then maybe come down for midnight if that's what lower prices. Just trade it for my funded. But for trading view, it's just paper trading. Yeah, Powell T's 2 days. So he's going to talk today and tomorrow. He'll be yapping. So with that going on, with the whole Israel, Iran, US nonsense, it's best to just avoid it or try to be done before all the craziness comes out, right? This might hold us. That's unfortunate if it does. That's true displacement away from the daily, closing underneath the daily as well. We do have this 5 here, which is causing issues, but to me, I think we might go short actually. 1, 2, 3. I might go with a pretty tight stop. Do one more to aim for the low of the 5 minute. Let's see, 2 minute. Looking at the 5 minute of how we've wicked this, how we trade into this, we get a candle body get close inside for the first time. We don't have any 5 minute fair value gap. We do have a 2 minute, right? That's paired with our 830 as we mentioned. I don't mind this actually. If we're gonna come up and reject hard off that daily, we have the daily fair value gap. We'll try one more short. Same idea, very minuscule risk. 0.25%. We're just gonna flip the idea. Right, so we wanted to use 830 to get long. We get long originally, it holds. It struggles to really clear the buy side. It rejects hard from really what we would expect, right? And then it gives us straight displacement through all the lows. So my expectation would be, we're simply gonna look for this low to be almost reached. So I'd want to see 830 offer resistance and have the daily fair value gap slow off, also offer resistance. So maybe like wick into it again, but hold the bodies below that. And then look for price to fall. Ultimately, we'd want to see these be cleared. Like that's what the expectation would be, especially if we're going to get outside of this range finally. Right, let's go to a higher time frame. We finally displaced, right? But we only wicked that high. So honestly, I'd want to see continued running, but if it does retrace on us, we have some inefficiencies that price may want to return into. I'm kind of looking at this 1 hour specifically here. That'd be a good area to return to, hit that inefficiency, and then give another run. But we'll see, right? As we say, this is a pretty bullish signature here. So the displacement through the original buy side, leaving behind the inefficiency. And now 1, 2, 3 times we've come into it. So if we do want to run bullish, right, this is kind of where it'll be. This is why I'm fine going short, because if we're offsides, it should be pretty quick that we are shown that. And then from there, we'll just call it a morning. Right, we'll be done at that point and be content with that, what we had for today. 0 for 2. And then from here, as you said, we'll just try to get 5, which will be right here. So we'd want to make another attempt at the 5 minute. Try to run lower, clear out a low. What we wouldn't want to see is for price to test this 5 minute and wick aggressively. Oh, just like it did. Because then that, to me, means it's probably going to try to wick this 5 minute and actually push through. As we said, we don't have any inefficiencies on a 5 itself, so we're kind of relying on the daily to hold bodies while looking at the 2 and 1 minute inefficiency as basically the fair value gap that we want to hold, right? If that makes sense. And don't forget, entry is on 830, so all of this is really keying off of the 830 itself. At this point, we pretty much just want another move like this. So displacement through these lows. And then from there, if we could even get there, we'll see what we do with the 5 minute. Second trade of the day, I'll probably be quick to break even. Okay, so like let's say that we did clear this low and tested the 5 minute. From there, I would go break even because that's where price would bounce and then retest the 830. And if we did that, I'll just be done. Right, we're heading into the opening at 9:30. Got about another half hour. So we'll wait for that. We also had some news at 8:15 and 9. So consumer confidence. They say it's medium impact, but it kind of acts like high impact at times. Next news event will be in 15 minutes. It's just another Fed speaker. I'll go get a water refill. BRB. Okay. Let's see what we get here. Agua. They say water's the best. Wake up. Nice cold. So at this point, as we say, we don't want to see... I like that. So we want the bodies to hold, okay, the 5 minute. So pretty much we'd want this to close bearish. But at the same time, we want to start closing inside this 5 minute. We got one candlestick closure inside, right? First pass body hovers away. Second pass gets closer, third closer, and then finally inside. So I want that to be an early indication that we can actually get through it. Now that we've hit it again, though, we don't want to see a rejection there. So let's go back to the 1 minute. We don't want to see rejection here because then we could reject, push through. Like, to be honest, I would want this to be the high that's put in place. And I wouldn't want to retest that high. If we have to get above that high again, not a big fan. Was hoping to be out before the open, but what you can kind of find is that if we are near 8:30 when price opens at 9:30, we can expect a smaller range as well. So far, don't like to see that, right? The 5 minute is going to close. Respecting that again with the body, so I don't mind that. I pretty much would want to see this candlestick be its high, and we would need to run lower. So if we can't start running lower now, we might consolidate into the open. And then at that point, what will we do? I'm fine just letting the open kind of maybe have or act as the catalyst. So I'll hold it into the open and then see if the open can't run. But for the time being, we hold in. All right, so we said 8:30 opening, 8:30 trading is a little bit more methodical, so a little bit slower. So at this point, you can see just in between the two fair value gaps, right? The 5 minute and the daily. We want the daily to reign supreme and send price lower. But if the overall market narrative is higher prices, we'll just be offsides. Yeah, we could be. I think that Right, with Powell speaking, price is just going to be choppy in general, so I see it more so as just true consolidation rather than like building liquidity, which maybe we would get like in the morning. It could run lower aggressively off that daily fair value gap now that we've traded into it. I would be much more, I guess, keen to expect though just continued consolidation, especially if we open like if 9:30 and 8:30 are pretty much the same level. That will tend to lead a lot of times to just a slower morning session. So at this point, not much to do but watch and enjoy. To me, we would need to close below the 5 minutes consequent encroachment to feel good for continued lower prices. Right, the 5. I'm really looking at this body. If this 5 minute closes inside, it's not going to be too hot. We'll probably just respect this 5 minute, right? Because it's a very strong discount displacement through highs. Closure below the 5 minute consequent encroachment though would be good for lower delivery. Because for the time being, this news wick at 8:30. Right, I want to get the low of that. We've already cleared the high of it here, so we get above it. 1, 2, 3. Its low is intact. I want to get the low of it. We'll see if this volume imbalance stays open. No, it's perfectly paired with 8:30. It does get closed in. Not bad. Okay. So still just, yeah, just consolidating here. Da, 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 da. Previous week low. I don't know what PEH is, I'm being honest. Yeah, we did already clear the low. We actually gapped below it. So, I mean, if we can continue bullish, right, that'll be nice. Like, I think on a 4-hour sense, let's even go to a daily real quick. So it really depends on what we do at this daily fair value gap here. Let's go hide positions. Right, so we've hit the daily right now. So in my mind, if we can close above that, we should finally be able to release from this range and run into, right, like here, and then these. But if we end up holding this, I think we might just keep staying in this range, right? And we've cleared the low and cleared the high of it, so we would retrace into equilibrium and stay choppy. It really all depends on the daily closure here. So we'd have to come back at the end of the day and see. Oh, previous week high, okay. But yeah, right, like we said, so that's kind of what we talked about. We've already cleared the low and high, so that will tend to lead to consolidation because we've cleared higher time frame objectives. If we can close above the actual fair value gap here, then I would expect a continued run, but we would need to see the daily do that, right? So we would have to wait for today to close anyways, which is why I'm trying to kind of be done early, and I'll let the rest of the day play out because it'll give us better understanding for tomorrow. Because like if we reject from here, like if we held this rejected, I honestly would just expect a retracement into the range again. Not true continuation. Like we have some inefficiencies here, so like this inefficiency at least for sure. Maybe down here if we need to. And then if we're really choppy, just right back to the midpoint from this low to high. Right, which aligns perfectly with the fair value gap there. But we'll see. Am I not concerned that the sweep at 831 will probably mean lower prices is less likely? No, there's a good chance. Right, as we said, this 830 clears out all of the liquidity already. and it's holding the 5 minute. So we actually went long first off 830, targeting the 5. We get stopped as we jam our stop loss up here. And so we were long like this, aiming for 5. Instead, we only got here, and then we get stopped. So for me, I'm simply trying to aim for the actual low of that to be the objective. Saying that if it's not true continuation, then since we've cleared the high of that opening, right, we clear 830 one twice, displace, I'd want to see the low of that candle now be traded into. It doesn't have to get all the way down there. Wait, what? Oh, I was so confused. I forgot I had that off. I was like, were we not in a position here? Right, we don't need to get all the way down into this low. For me, is let's say that we displace, get above. We'll probably come for our stop, but I do like, as we say, when we create these type of swings, so from high to low, right, that low stays intact, and now it's just a bunch of higher lows. Because now that could be very easy to just sweep. But if we're wrong, right, this is where retail traders win. You buy the line or whatever. Our expectation is we use these as areas of liquidity, trend line liquidity. So I'd want to see that be right now, honestly. Is tomorrow going to be another early? Yeah, probably will be early again. Powell's going to talk at the same time, so we'll have the same schedule. Because we'll also have, yeah, home sales, so it'll be another stack day. Long-term bullish, I'd say. Bias. Macro perspective. Want the equal highs on the daily to be targeted. So ideally we get above the daily fair value gap today, and then we could run and use longs the rest of the week to target daily swing points or daily inefficiencies. So as we said, with a lot of trendline liquidity here, another low, like if we keep this low as well, right, we're just building liquidity in my opinion. That right there, okay, so we've ran that low. That may be all price needs to reject, to be honest. So I don't like seeing something like that. I would have wanted us to push through and clear most of these lows, but right, a quick wick like that, especially if we hold the daily fair value gaps low, it's not going to be too hot, because then we could see a quick expansive move through this back above the fair value gap, just like we get there. So as we said, we have news at 9:15, so we'll find out. 9:15 may stop us out or run to our stop or run to our TP. At this point, we're trying to use news as catalyst, right? Then yeah, I'll call him. Love you. So the fact that we held there, we'll probably run straight into the back. Oh my, yeah, okay, that's fine. So we said we understood news. We're going to try to use it as a catalyst lower. Instead, we just use that, dig right into the fair value gap, and now we'll run low. I still can't really get outside that. We'll see if we can get below it. Yeah, even that's gross, right? So yeah, just expect it there. 830. So we'll get more 830 consolidation here, right? We're just stuck inside that fair value gap. So for us, we'll be done there. Right, 9:15 goes up instead. Still holds these lows, right? So that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see those be ran. As we said though, if we're gonna wick this low, hold the daily volume or the daily fair value gap low, more than likely it's gonna try to make a pump up because we've cleared that short-term low. That's what we get. Even then though, it's still holding that fair value gap. So just choppy delivery overall. It actually held the original 830 level. But for us, nothing else to do. Right, so we try this longs, 830, aiming for 5, falls just short, we get stopped here. We try to flip it to use 830 to get short, same idea. We build that liquidity, instead push right up through. So from here, I just said I'm fine just letting it rock now. Powell will be coming on in about 45 minutes, 9:30 opening bell as well. A lot of wicking now, right? Still stuck inside the daily fair value gap. So for us, to me, it's probably going to be just a very sloppy opening. But yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. As you said, shortish stream, not really pushing for too much. Pre-session did not work out. That's all right. I like those setups. Take them again. We'll do the same thing tomorrow as well. If you are going to be around and kind of just watch right during the morning, I still would like to see, like, if we were to get above the daily, I think that would allow for pretty good expansion. And I'd like to see like highs up here. Ultimately, as we said, our macro perspective is these highs. So all-time highs, they're equal highs. That'd be pretty clean to get up into, especially now that let's hide everything. Especially now that we were in this little range, we gap below it. So I'm still waiting to see closure above the daily fair value gap. To me, leads to continued expansion. The 22 mentorship is a good start. Sorry, Dito, I missed that. Yeah, the 22 mentorship is ideal. I like that a lot. It's a very good series. So we actually did close above this. We may be able to use that now. Right, especially if we close above this wick. What we often say is if we create news wicks like this, close above it, that's going to lead to that continued delivery in that direction. Retesting, closure above that, we should be able to just keep pushing for its high, to be honest. Curious to see what we do here. If we can get above that area, it's going to be pretty significant. That's where we've been getting stuck all morning. We'll probably chill till the opening bell just to see how it opens and then head out after that. I'm not interested in the Powell at all. I just want to see if we use this as a potential inversion now. 2 minute, ideally, right? Especially. Yeah, it's just a strong area in price here. Liquidity void paired with daily fair value gap, consequent encroachment. So first test, that's that 2 minute. It's also the 1 minute with the volume imbalance. Yeah, struggling to get above. NQ is just as ugly as well for you NQ people. So just chopping all over the place here. Nothing, there's not an inversion, or is it? Yeah, we still have the inversion here as well. I'd almost expect 830 to do the same thing though. Hold it. Bullish volume imbalance. So that's going to hold, should push into daily fair value gap again, midpoint. I'm trying to see on NQ, same idea. Honestly, same idea. I think if we can get above this, it should allow it to run. Right, that'll be the flip point. We have opposite wicks, yeah, so you're saying, right, this wick here and this wick here. Best thing to do is nothing, to be honest. That's the easy answer. For me, though, what I would really look at is I would try to gauge which PD arrays are being respected more than the other. So I'm going to say, right, since the 5-minute is kind of paired with this original wick, and we can't get below that. I mean, to be honest, the daily, that's a good question. I don't really have any hard bias. For me, if I'm having to rely on something, I would always rely on higher time frames. So if I had to pick, I'm going to use the daily and say that this daily consequent encroachment paired with the true liquidity void is going to be a stronger premium than this wick here. Right, so as long as this is holding, I still would honestly expect to see these lows be ran out, because now we're just building more trendline liquidity. So I would have more priority in the fact that this, right, should hold and break lower to clear out lows. But then of course you could use that, right, inverse to where if we were able to actually close above the consequent encroachment and this liquidity void, I'm going to expect that that's going to be an area of support now, because it's held us so many times, right? So closure above would almost flip that narrative, and then we could use that to target this high here. So it really all relies on midpoint of the daily fair value gap. And that's why we see continued, right? The bodies are wicking into it, but the actual volume imbalance here is holding it. He said the wave, true. I like the ceasefire lasted a whole 20 minutes. That's a good try. So we have a volume imbalance here. Let's see if that stays open. Could easily just be another, right, body. Trade lower. We'll see if we can get above it. So far, just holding that. Maybe 930 needs to be the catalyst here. Gee, that's crazy, that precision there. It's trying, cannot. Absolute brick wall. Brick wall. NQ. Oh yeah, is that CE of that? I didn't even have that up. Yep. So yeah, if I had to guess, I mean, as we said, I'd rather have this hold, but it's really at a point to where I'm not trying to put anything on it either way. I'd have to wait and see. Closure above that, though, I do like that potentially. And then I wouldn't want to see like the low of the daily, which is a rather large stop, only 4 handles to be honest, but then you could look for something like the run higher, if that's going to be the case. Retesting the inversion once again. NQ does have its 830 that it could use. If it pops up right. So we have some lows near that. Consolidation. NQ could run into that easily. We did just pick up this low, so maybe we get the run higher now. Kind of same thing in ES. Slight SMT, right? We didn't clear this low. So I'm curious to see if now we can actually get a closure above or what happens. So far, brick wall. Yep, another one. Hard rejection. Yeah. And then Q is kind of the same, right? Like this fair value gap, we're pretty much at the same spot. So a little bit larger, like we're really consolidating within it. But this is the daily fair value gap. All right, it's a midpoint here, it's holding us. Midpoint of the wick, midpoint of the actual daily fair value gap. So same spot here. This ES has the actual liquidity void volume balance paired with it, which is why I think this one's even a little bit stronger as an area of resistance. Three minutes till the open. Another chance and immediate rejection. Does not like that area. Not a fan. Oh. Yeah, that's gonna be a gross opening. Unless it somehow just accelerates, but not a fan, right? Honestly, slots here at this point. 50-50 if you're entering. This is the old enter and pray. This would be the worst. Because yeah, you could say like, yeah, that inversion will hold and it'll go higher. You could say the volume balance will hold and it's going to go lower. You could say 830 will hold and it'll go higher. Right? If you could frame so many possibilities, very low probability. One minute, it's gonna melt. It might, it could. Once Powell gets rambling, depending on what he says. I just think if we could leave that daily, right, if that holds, I just think we stay in that range. We'll see what the opening has to do. As we said though, if we're gonna open, like we're gonna open right at 8:30. So if the 8:30 and 9:30 opening are overlapped like that, at least from what I've seen, that leads to a very choppy morning session. Because yeah, whenever this candlestick closes, I mean, if it closes right on 8:30, that'd be funny. But so far, we're at the daily, as we said, kind of reigns supreme. That's going to be a higher time frame key area. So we would expect that to send us back into the 5. We get the closure. Let's see if we run now. Right, so we're going to have a large gap here. Huge opening range gap. If we can fall through the 5, ideally you would have wanted to see this go up first to create a Judas swing higher. But if we fall through the 5, we could just start running lower. We'll see. That volume balance holds aggressively. Very large opening range. As we said, the first move being lower to me is almost a Judas swing, so I don't like that. That's like the bait move lower. We'll see if it can actually maintain that strength, or if it just holds the 5 minute. We'll probably just stay stuck here until the Powell talks or until the afternoon. So midpoint, we'll see if that volume bounce stays open. We don't need to watch the regular trading hour. That's what this gap is. It's already plotted there. So what's that fair value gap though, right? 830. Curious to see what that does. If it wants to offer, oh, we didn't even get into it. We created a perfect fair value gap there. So they said this may be a Judas swing. 930 tends to create a false move first. Right back up into it. Closure above. Potential first presented. Now is when we may see daily fair value gap giveaway. NQ's ran its high. So it looks like we're gonna have our first presented here. I'm gonna move this real quick. It's getting a little ugly. First presented paired with 830. That's very interesting. NQ, I mean, that's hideous. I don't even know what to tell you here, to be honest. Only thing you would look at in ES is that first presented potentially as a long. But I think we just stay choppy in here. We're just gonna keep being range bound back and forth. We'll see if we can actually fall through the 5 at this point. Yeah, that's hideous. Expected though. But expected. So we held midpoint after a crazy wick. We'll see what it wants to do from there. He said, I'm short on, but yeah, I like that. This is a straight paper day. I mean, yeah, and like in theory, right? If we can get, let's see, 4 hour. If we can get the 4 hour to close below, I'd be more keen to think we could start dropping. But for the time being, we are hideous. NQ right back up. NQ's lost. Still left the actual data low here from 830. Same in ES, so that could be a potential target. But at this point, I don't have, yeah, I'm not holding any bias. Minus delivery. I love, there it is. Just full port. Perfect day to do that. Couldn't be a better day, actually. Yeah, that's great. Honestly, if we ran this high, I would expect it to break lower. I think we just stay in this damn seek and destroy now. Yeah, that's crazy. Once again, volume imbalance says NOSA, you shall not pass. Don't you think about it. This is where you just flip a coin, go long or short. Like 1 minute fair value gap here, but I don't really put much weight into that. We'll see what happens there. This is kind of where I disregard PD arrays, like this type of delivery, and simply use the higher time frame objectives that we have. I still think though, closure above, we might be able to get into the high of it. Especially with how much it's been holding there so far. NQ, let's see if it gets above as well. In my mind for NQ, if we did run this, I almost would expect that turtle soup, right? And see it reverse again. Just max carnage. Oh, first attempt, maybe closure above. We're gonna get closure above. There it is. Now let's see, to me, we should get the high of it. If we get the high of it first, we'll probably just come back down, but. There's a test of it. Let's see what happens. No discount left behind, so that'll be immediate rebalance if it wants to pump. Da, 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 da. Nope, right back, clearing the high, right back into range. Yeah, it's gonna be continuing. Okay. We did hold it. As long as we hold it, I'd look for the high. Very ugly bullish breaker right here as well, okay? That's linked to the midpoint. You go low, you go high, lowest low, we close above that. Highest up close candle. Right, if we're gonna hold that, as we said, we should get into the high of it. Clear high, and Q trying to run up for a high again as well. Right up here. Let's see if we can get the high of it. Potential SMT, we'll see if NQ catches up. Like if we ran into this here and NQ never ran this high, I would still expect that reversal. We'll see if it can create a first presented potentially. So we had one here, that one held an ES, and Q has yet to create one. It's trying to do it now. So if that can be created and it actually can close above that high there, then maybe it'll start running, but I think it might just sweep this high and break again. So I'd watch and see, right? Closure above that, leaving first presented, it has a chance. But if this pretty much rejects, comes back down, it's just going to stay choppy AF. I kind of look to see, right, this OB here, if it's going to get above that. It just keeps smashing into that. So we'll see if that swing high stays. As we said, we'll see if that first presented, even if it stays open, I'm not sure if I would trust that fully. Especially now that we've, all right, a little strong here, so we'll see if that stays above. Okay, there's a chance then. All right, that stays open. NQ finally leaves. So we did get the high of it. Home run, he said, I'm rich. And now it rejects. Yeah, very ugly here. But as we said, I probably would think, what with Powell speaking still at 10 now, this could all just be bait move still. Especially if like none of the higher time frames close outside of it. That's why I would like to see the 4 hour. He said the Powell pump up or pump down. Yeah, we should just use that. If we're gonna just pump, we would expect the high of it now that we've closed above, right? We close above midpoint, that becomes the area of support. Close above the high, that should also be, so potentially this high here. Da, 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 da. See if the 5 minute can close above. With the 5 and the 15, we'll be closing here with this next 1 minute. So I'm kind of watching to see if it trades into this, respects it, closes above. If it does, I would expect another dip into it and for that to hold as well. NQ did create that first presented, it maintains it, stays open. We got closure above the high. Not closure above this swing though. But I would see if we're going to use first presented now in NQ as an area of support. Ooh, right, so that 5 and 15 is just a wick. So to me, it's still choppy. I don't see that as true continuation there. Yeah. Probably come right back down into the daily fair value gap, midpoint. NQ hit the first presented, so we'll see if first presented and NQ is what wants to hold with a pump up. Or if it falls right through. Right, we should hold that bullish if we're going to want another run higher. So that's what the expectation would be. Moving out the hood. He said all in, I bet my house. Life savings on the long. Yeah, first presented nice, right? All that consolidation. We would expect a quick run away because it's already balanced in here. So we'll see if it wants to test the high again. From there though. Now we close above. Okay, so we'll see if we keep pumping. There's the high, right? We'd want to see if it's going to close above or if it's just another wick. First presented holds nicely. ES also clears, so far, same spot. We're going to have a bullish volume imbalance potentially. We'll see if it stays open or if it rejects from here and actually closes that in. But closing above it, right? That's where the continuation should continue now. We would expect. 2 minute was nice. Held the fair value gap. Potential highs up here. Wick in NQ, so yeah, as we spoke about in NQ, just a wick. But ES strong. See if it leaves open the volume imbalance. If it did, you could almost do this. We're out just because, like 2 losses this morning. Even though it wasn't really a full stop out. This one was. but for us, we are on our hands. But right, this would be something that I could look at. So we trade back down into the original bounce price range. We displace back above, leaving the actual liquidity void, volume imbalance as well paired with that. So in my mind, like, that low should be protected, especially with the NQ holding its first presented, right? So as it runs higher, if it can continue to be strong, we would expect ES to follow suit as well. Five minutes. So now, especially a 5 minute closed above, right? That's that release that we'd be speaking of. We'd want to see it continue to get up there. Only issue, though, as we said, is Powell says something goofy and it dumps, but should be able to run now. I want to see if that daily, we still are pretty much stuck inside that daily. It's a lot larger on NQ, right? So this daily fair value gap that we're using to key off of on NQ is rather large. So we still have some room for it to reach if it can get up there, right? That's why I would pretty much expect NQ to keep running if we're going to maintain bullishness. I'll be RB though. Right back into it. Just ugly as can be. Little 3 drives, right? So we get the reversal. 1, 2, third drive, boom, break back down. Right back into daily fair value gap. Right, higher time frame wise, it's still bearish, to be honest. That's why we're saying we need higher time frames to close above, because if not, this is all could just be that continued consolidation. Really need to rely on daily because we're using a daily fair value gap. The daily candlestick is the most important. Oh. As you said though, if this is going to hold bearish the whole time and it wants to actually maintain bullish delivery, we should see it act as an area of support. Huge bearish fair value gap breaker is actually the YouTube model. Short-term high cleared displacement through a low, leaving a fair value gap. Upper level of the daily fair value gap as well. So in my mind, this probably price will try to break lower if it wants to hold again and like come back into 830 or the first presented. Closure below daily. Yeah, so I would expect this to now act as resistance. This is going to retest first presented potentially here. Equal lows. Now I'm just interested to see what 10 o'clock does. So once that happens, we'll be out. No more entries though. I'm just following price at this point. Just watching. He said, "Don't, please, it can't go lower." But he's long his whole life right now. Life savings long on NQ. It must go. Uh-oh, first presented though, not good. I will remain strong. You said first presented probably here I'd look for. There it is. Now we'll see if we bounce or what happens there. So right back into pretty much just a low. Daily fair value gap. Potential bounce from here now, we'll see. There is a bearish volume bounce though. That could be a easy rejection point if it wants to fall outside and below of the first presented from today. Retesting that. Let's see if it falls through. NQ, kind of same spot, right? First presented, used bearishly. We'll see if it wants to retest opening range gap potentially. Or if it wants to get above, because it could bounce from here. So if that is the case, we would expect this to be inverted potentially, but we'll see. A few minutes until Powell. Let's see, retest. We did fall short. We'll see if it pushes up and above, but I think that'll be like line in the sand here. Interesting how it's working, right? As we get below that in ES, NQ hits the high of it. So not really in sync whatsoever, but we kind of expect that, right? We all over the place. Da, 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 da. 15-minute. Yeah, bearish arrow on NQ, you're saying. I'd probably agree still with that. I mean, NQ is a little bit different just because we're inside that daily fair value gap still. If this 15-minute can close underneath the daily fair value gap, I'd be a little bit more keen to look for the bearishness. But yeah, same idea. ES now a little bit weaker, a lot weaker to be honest. Right, fallen pretty aggressively back into the 5. NQ trying to catch up potentially. We'll see if it's getting held here. So that's interesting as well. Right, as ES is dumping, NQ being held. Yeah, we're not in sync. Very low probable day. Expected though. If we're going to put that swing point, let's say that we should use first presented now to go lower if ES really wants to stay heavy like this. 2 minutes until Powell though. We'll see if that causes any type of market reaction. Yeah, okay, so if that high is in place, 830 should hold. Send it lower. Especially if ES keeps dumping. Yeah, NQ getting held, but I think if I had to guess, right, it should get out of this range. It should hold first presented, fall through, at least retest the opening range high, which is also the 830 level. As ES continues to dump, right, we would expect that. Let's see if it falls through. As we said, if it falls through the 5, I like the idea of trying to get, honestly, midpoint of the opening range gap there. All right, 10 seconds. Let us see. Title. Let's go straight chart. Just want to see what we do. Probably not much. It's already priced in my opinion, but we'll see. Why is that so gross? What the heck? That's weird. I don't know why it looked like that. Oh well. Yeah, not much. Right, that stays bullish. Interesting. So SMT here. We've cleared all these lows. We've cleared the data low. Right, so one or two things, and we can't actually close below that level. So if we start displacing back above today's first presented, to me that's going to be bullish, and we should be able to get a run. Especially because NQ is unable to clear any of these lows, right? And instead it holds its first presented, or excuse me, the opening range gap. Da-da-da-da. Jack says going up. Who agrees with my man Jack? I can see it. As we said, SMT there now. So if we, like in NQ, if NQ got above its first presented, I would expect that to be support. In ES, honestly, same idea. We're at the same spot now, kind of. Right, we've cleared a short-term low. We're retesting its first presented. Cleared a short-term low, retesting first presented. It's going to be bearish though for the time being. Right, like this short-term high being cleared, leaving the daily fair value gap, that's more bearish. Closure below, closure inside the 5 minute. So I want to see, honestly, that try to hold potentially. Fall. If we can hold here, break below outside the 5, that should set into motion. Pretty easy run lower. 5-minute holding strong. Deep premium. Yeah, we're inside that daily fair value gap. Notice that's going to be strong. Da, 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 da. You said if we can get below 5-minute, to me that'll set into motion a nice run. At least until like we can go, what's like the quarter level of this opening range? So at least towards that. So maybe not midpoint. Price will tend to hit midpoint, but it's rather large range here. So if it wants to dump, that's going to be a good target if it starts speeding up. But if it wants to kind of stay range bound, maybe a midnight at least. NQ, I haven't even like, hello, what's that? Barcode. That's what we call that in both. So overall pretty ugly, but let's see, consolidation over some liquidity. We use the 5-minute, see if we can get above 830. That'll get you into midpoint, and then potentially the original 1-minute fair value gap here. 830, I mean, look how like the 830 is consequent encroachment of the first presented. As we say, not random there. So to me, that's why I'm keying that up pretty aggressively. Because as long as we stay below that, I would expect another test of like the 5-minute fair value gap below. Potentially midnight. And Q, not much better. I mean, not much to go off of here. Same idea, just inside first presented. Closure above it, I would expect the run higher. So yeah, same flip point. Right below it, we should run lower. As soon as we close above it, my idea would be for inefficiencies or swing points. Same in ES. The seek and destroy, right? Complete that potentially. We get the low, come back for the high of it. You know what we might do actually? I'm gonna close this and come back later in the afternoon. I ain't got nothing else going on today. Plus, that's kind of the protocol, right? Because Powell doesn't talk all day, and even if he does, the afternoon will be a little bit cleaner as it gyrates. So we'll do that. Inside of here, I don't really have any bias. Like, you could frame it both directions, right? So for me, it's just low probable. Like, you could obviously see the shorts from daily fair value gap. If first presented wants to hold, we've cleared the high. We've created a large down move. So if this holds us and we close below the 5-minute, we can continue to run lower. But right, conversely, it's very easy to say, well, the 5 minutes continued to hold us throughout the morning, especially because it's been displaced through an old high. Multiple wicks, we've just cleared a wick low, right? So now we could use the opening range gap high as an area of support to get above this first presented and run higher. So because of that, right, very easy to frame up both sides. We just walk away. We've seen this play out enough times to know that we don't really need to be involved. I'm thinking more so like, yeah, we'll plan for power hour. So I'll have the stream set for that. If I'm kind of looking at something beforehand and it's looking nice, I might like set out a tweak quickly. So just stay aware for that. And it might be like a 2 o'clock stream or something, but plan to come back for just the last hour of the day. And we'll see what that gives us. For the time being, as I said, I mean, if I had to pick, gun to my head, choose a side that I would want to see delivered. Now that we've closed under this daily fair value gap with the higher time frame candlestick, right, the 1 hour, I'd actually like to see that daily fair value gap act as an area of resistance and try to get us down into, I mean, at least like midnight, right? Midnight is, where'd it go? Come back. Come back. There it is. So at least midnight. Under midnight, I like midpoint of opening range gap. Yeah, like it, brother. Like it. Shout out Mike. But until then, stay safe in here, fellas. Don't be... This is where you overtrade, right? This is where you start getting crazy with it. Protect your capital. There will be better times. So yeah. If you guys are going to be around this afternoon, I will talk to you guys here in a few hours. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll talk later.